I was in Gaza for almost a month, and there was just a massive, massive explosion. And before you know it, I find myself in a situation I've never imagined. We got hit by an anti-tank missile. I can't get up. I got shrapnel pieces on my left leg, my left arm, my stomach. I can't get up. I see pieces of my friend, and I look at myself, and it's just pure chaos. The scenario I was at, I shouldn't be alive. And even if alive, I should have lost limbs, but I haven't. And that's absolutely God's help,
I'm Yemini for Rebel News in the capital of Israel. Today to bring you the story for thetruthaboutthewar.com from a former combat engineer who was hit in the second month of the war against Hamas. And today he's sharing his inspiring tale of recovery.
I drafted the Army in March 2023. I drafted to combat engineering, and I started my basic training. I finished my basic training. Basic training is 8 months. At this point, we're already a month after the 7th of October. Throughout this whole month, I'm like, I want to go in. I want to join my brothers and sisters. Like not because I'm crazy, but because I want to be a part of this. I want to, put my part, and this is why I drafted. So it was a very hard month for me, just sitting on the side and so to say continuing my training. Finished the basic training of 8 months. Our commander, they let us go home to see our family. And after 2 days in the morning, I wake up from a phone call from my commander who tells me, Mendel, give your hugs and kisses. You're going to fight in Gaza tomorrow. So at that moment, it was like mixed emotions. One half, I'm happy because this is why I drafted, to protect the country when it's at need. But at the same time, going in Gaza is going in knowing you might not come back. So it's scary. It's like, I'm happy, but it's also scary. So we go in. I was in Gaza for almost a month. We were the guys exploding tunnels, taking down buildings, taking down booby traps that they put in front of us, and pretty much the front line of the IDF. So it's dangerous work, but it's very important work. And this was the 12th of the 12th. It was a sunny day. This is in northern Gaza, Jabalia. We were 9 guys going by foot, and we had our tanks and army vehicles behind us. And we start moving forward, and we're kind of, just going between buildings. And at some point, we get to a very exposed, open area, kind of like a dead zone. So we try to pass it as safe as possible. And the way we did that was, I was covering from behind. We were covering with our rifle towards the area where my friends were crossing. Friends start to cross it by pairs. The first pair goes, gets to the other side. The second pair goes, gets to the other side. And a little bit before it's my turn, and there was just a massive, massive explosion. And before you know it, I find myself in a situation I've never imagined. What happened was this anti-tank missile hit my good friend of mine, which, by the way, this same day was his birthday. It was actually crazy that I'm thinking about it. I remember before we went out to this mission, the commander gave my friend a choice, you don't have to go on this mission, it's your birthday, you can stay back. And he didn't want to stay back, he wanted to come with us. And like I was starting to say, he got hit by this anti-tank missile in his stomach. Part of him vanished, the other part was in pieces. He died on the spot, and 4 of us were injured. We all went flying, we got shrapnel pieces in shock. And before you know it, I find myself in a situation where I'm laying on the floor, my ears are beeping, I cannot hear. I can't get up. I got shrapnel pieces on my left leg, my left arm, my stomach. I can't get up. I see pieces of my friend, and I look at myself, and it's just pure chaos. I don't know who's alive, I don't know who's dead. I hardly know what my condition is. It was a scary moment. It was a moment where I'm laying there, and I don't know if I'm gonna live or die. I literally don't know. And when you thought it couldn't get worse, it gets worse. Because I start hearing, I couldn't hear much, but I can hear bullets flying over my head, and I can't move. And I'm pretty much in the open. So I start to call for help, and at the same time I'm calling for help, I thought about what would it do to my parents if I don't survive this and come back home, And just that thought, at the moment, gave me that mental strength to at least stay awake and stay in this scenario, It gave me strength. And, you know, before you know it, units from the area and my team, they got together, and more units that were also in the area, they heard that explosion, they came, and the rescue team came, and they started giving me first medical care. And from there, Special Rescue Team 669, you know, airlifted me from northern Gaza in a chopper. And I get to the hospital, and before they put me to sleep to go through the surgeries, they give me a phone, and they say, "You want to call your parents?" And I say, "Of course." And I call up my dad. I say, "What's up, Dad? It's Mendel. I'm hospitalized. I got injured, but I'm okay." And that's it. And they put me to sleep. Eventually, of course, the whole family came to the hospital, and I was in surgery. It was 7 hours or 6 hours of surgery. And they realized it was serious. Before the injury, I was a guy who would swim. I would, you know, play soccer, play basketball, do parkour, flipping around, running. I would run marathons before then. I'm an athlete, you know, sports and like living and like this is part of my life. And I remember waking up like the day after in the hospital, and I'm all stitched up. It's tough, you know. It's from being able to run marathons or whatever. I get to a scenario where I cannot walk on my legs. And this is where my whole recovery process pretty much started, you know, of just staying strong, you know, staying in that positive mindset and trying to feel the light at the end of the tunnel, because it's hard to see that when you're at a point like me. But, you know, it's little by little, small victories, you know, it's the first steps, the first squat, the first, you know, the first time getting out of the wheelchair. It's, you know, it's like small victories, and I look back and I can't believe the journey I've been through and how I overcame it. You know, I always say it's a combination. It's a combination of God and heroes. These are the two reasons I'm alive. One is God, because the scenario I was at, I shouldn't be alive. And even if alive, I should have lost limbs, but I haven't. And that's absolutely God's help, you know, God's protection. But the other side is the heroes, man. When I was injured, the guy who saved my life, you know, without him, I wouldn't be alive. Or my brothers who were fighting there and killing the terrorists that surprised us. And the doctors and the surgeons and the rescue team that airlifted me. And it's crazy. Like I said, I'm 7 months after. Not only am I walking on my feet, but I'm actually, you know, I'm flipping. I'm running again. Just recently I did a half marathon. I'm working out. You know, I still have some nerve damage on my left arm, but I feel stronger than ever. Physically, I'm still not there, but mentally, I feel stronger than ever. I mean, if I overcame that, I'm ready for life. I feel prepared.
So how did you get through mentally? So, you know, you lost friends in that moment, and you were injured, and you had to go through the recovery while also processing the loss of friends. And I know from somebody serving in the army, they're like your brothers, they're like family when you're serving with them. So how were you able to deal with that while also recovering?
It was definitely difficult and hard. I remember being at the hospital, and then a good friend of mine, Uriah Yaakov, who died, you know, his family came and visited me in the hospital. That moment, I remember from this point, you know, high point of just total gratitude for being alive. His family starts talking to me, man, and that just went way down. It just went way down. First of all, I felt guilt that I was alive and he's dead. And by the way, this guilt, this is something that all soldiers, you know, this is something we all deal with.
Are you proud of the work that you guys did in Gaza? Because obviously around the world, especially the media around the world, certainly paints you and your boys as, I guess, the evil genocidal killer that's gone into Gaza because you're bloodthirsty or something. Are you proud about your work in Gaza? Do you feel guilt about any of your work in Gaza?
First of all, I want to say I take a lot of pride in what we did, in myself and what I did over there. What I think of the scenario, I mean, no one wanted this. We didn't ask for this war. It came upon us. I mean, the 7th of October, there was a massacre. We didn't ask for it. We had no choice. We gotta bring our hostages back. We have to kill the people who are responsible for this. And we have to make sure nothing like this can happen in the future. These are what's in my head while I'm in Gaza.
Does the pain on the other side ever hit you the suffering, the killing of those that are innocent and that get caught up in the crossfire. Does that, as a soldier, affect you on the ground in the time or even after?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a 21-year-old man. I'm not a murderer.
Do you think the media's reporting around the world has been fair?
No, not at all.
What do you think has been unfair about it?
Well, it's just I live in Israel. I see things with my own eyes. I've seen scenarios. I've seen what happened in Gaza, and you hear all kinds of news and statuses and stuff where it's pure bullshit and it's fake news. And to me it's crazy how we live in this a world that the truth, the evil can become the good and the good can become the evil, and how it's so like twisted. To me it's crazy. I'm just saying, as a young teenager, to think about it and to see how it's so twisted up, and how after the 7th of October, where it's like fighting back is a genocide, or like, I don't know, man. To me, it's crazy.
What would your message be to, I guess, the Jewish world outside of Israel that since the 7th of October have suffered by the insane rise of anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, often cloaked as anti-Zionism, anti the genocide in Gaza? What's your message to Jews around the world that have bore the brunt of that?
Well, I will say first, throughout history, us as Jews, we've been through so much. And here we are today, living in Israel, a Jewish state with an army. We're gonna get through it. We're Jews, that's what we do. We're just resilient, it's part of us. But like you're saying, since the 7th of October, we've all been heartbroken. We're all going through anti-Semitism, everything, man. We're in difficult times. What helped me is, first of all, knowing our brothers and sisters are not living today. My friend who died, may he rest in peace, Uriah Yaakov, they died so we can live. That's important. That's very important to understand. Like, if we give up and we lay on our beds and we, be depressed and just give up, then our brothers and sisters died for nothing. We better make sure they didn't die for nothing.
If you think it's important for the world to hear from the heroes on the front line instead of those around the world who demonize them, make sure to like, comment, but most importantly, share this far and wide, because you know what the mainstream media have said about people like Mendel for the last 8 months. It's up to you to get the truth out there. And then head over to thetruthaboutthewar.com. Check out all our coverage from here in Israel and about this conflict. And if you support our mission, please consider chipping in to help us cover the cost. Thetruthaboutthewar.com. We cannot do this without you.